Luxury watch pricing right now is completely out of control. Pay attention to new releases from major brands and also independent brands, especially independent brands. The pricing has become ridiculous. Watch brands are just pulling prices out of a hat, and all of those prices in the hat are just ridiculous. Through this video, I'm going to be talking about micro brands, independent brands, and major brands, and the current crisis in watch pricing that's going on right now. Sometimes I think people who are watch collectors should step back once in a while and try and look at this hobby from a different perspective. Watch collectors are crazy. It doesn't matter if you're collecting micro brands, affordable brands, or high-end luxury brands. You really don't need more than one watch. You really don't even need a watch at all. If you were able to travel back in time 200 years and you met someone and told them that you owned a watch, it would blow their mind. Then imagine telling them that you owned around 20 watches and they all did the exact same thing. They would probably think you were a king or a wizard or something crazy like that. You really don't need 20 watches. There really aren't very many people out there who actually need more than one watch. So what I'm trying to say is the idea of collecting really anything, it doesn't only have to do with watches, is somewhat crazy. You're buying multiples of essentially the same object. They look different, they may function slightly different, but essentially they're all doing the exact same thing. I was talking to a friend not that long ago about watch collecting in general and the dopamine hit that you get when you buy a new watch. When you get that watch in the mail or you go into a store and you sit down and buy a watch, that excitement that you feel when you first put it on your wrist, or the tremendous disappointment. But that excitement, that new watch feeling, usually is a fleeting moment. And then once that moment is over, you're on the hunt for another watch. I cannot tell you how many times I have friends who have said to me, this is the last watch I'm buying for a very long time. And then 2 weeks later, they're on Chrono24 or eBay, or they're wheeling and dealing with an AD or some watch dealer trying to get their next watch. And I gotta be honest, the watch community in general are a bunch of enablers. This is not Alcoholics Anonymous where they're trying to get you off of alcohol. When you go out and you meet other watch collectors, they're really encouraging you to spend more money on watches. And that is one of the reasons why prices are so crazy right now. It's all justification. You really don't need more than one watch. Like I said, it's a very rare circumstance where you would actually need more than one watch. You are just negotiating with yourself to get to that next watch. So really, the first reason why I think watch prices are absolutely absurd is because of not only influencers, so people like me who go on YouTube and talk about watches. I try and steer people towards more affordable watches, and I always tell people not to buy retail. Get something at a discount, don't spend too much money. However, there are a lot of other influencers who talk about watches as if they are investments. Obviously, I've said that many times here on my channel. They are not. Because of what happened during COVID, there were a lot more watch collectors being born every day than there was ever in history. And all of a sudden, the whole entire industry got a huge boom from all these new collectors entering into watch collecting. I cannot tell you how many times I walk over to somebody with a Patek Philippe and I say, how long have you been collecting? That's a beautiful watch. And they say to me, 3 years. That is absurd that they are going from 0 to Patek Philippe in 3 years. So like I was saying, that influence doesn't only come from people like me, people who are talking about watches on a regular basis on the internet. It's also coming from your group of friends. There are a lot more clubs out there that obviously have a lot of community aspects to it, which is great. People get together and talk about watches. But when you go to one of these meetups and you see someone with something new on their wrist, it does influence you. You want to get something new, just like that other person who just got that watch. Maybe you had your eye on, or maybe you didn't even know about, and now all of a sudden you have that itch, that bug. It's a problem. So influence, whether it's from people who are actual influencers or your friends or the people who are around you. That is a major factor, and it's become a major factor mostly after COVID. So because of all this influence and also the birth of cryptocurrency, I will talk about that very briefly because cryptocurrency was not very popular and it has rapidly become very, very popular. There are a lot of new crypto millionaires, sometimes even more than that probably, and these are people who all of a sudden have a lot more disposable income. And I think a lot of that Rolex hype that we've seen not only has to do with the entering of many more collectors, but also a lot of crypto millionaires who go out and they want to buy something that they see as a good investment, and people keep on talking about Rolex's APs and Patek Philippe's FP Journe as a really good investment. Sometimes they are, because they do sell for a lot more on the secondary market. They are very expensive. So if you want to buy them on the secondary market, you almost have to not care. And there's also competition. Competition in the watch industry has really heated up over the past few years. I've been collecting a very long time, and never have I seen so much competition between brands. Brands come out with a complication, then another brand has to come out with the same complication but do it a little bit different and top this other brand. One brand has to come out with the thinnest watch in the world. 2 weeks later, another brand comes out with a watch that's even thinner than that watch. As this competition heats up, the prices also heat up. So you're getting a lot of innovation out of this competition, but it is also inflating prices. So now I want to talk about a brand, and I'm not going to be talking about Rolex. I know a lot of people like to talk about Rolex in videos like these, and I'm trying to give you some really different reasons why I think that the watch industry in general prices are going up. And I'm going to talk about micro brands and independent brands. I'm going to leave major brands out of this conversation. Prices have steadily gone up. Brands like Rolex definitely are not matching inflation. They are just going up in price. Whatever that number is, whatever that percentage is, they are increasing prices. I think it's a little bit more evident with independent brands. And I'm going to use one of my favorite watch brands. Urwerk make amazing watches. They were literally one of the first major independent brands making wild watches. And they have inspired many, many people, many other brands. When they first came out, all of their watches were in precious metals. And I think this is a very important point. This can go for De Bethune, this can go for MB&F, it can go for almost every single independent brand. What they have done is a major switcheroo. All of the Urwerk models were in precious metals. And then eventually at some point they started showing up in titanium and other materials. So I'm going to use the exact model that I have as an example, the 103. The 103 is a wandering hour. It has a white gold case. This is essentially a large brick of gold. It is very heavy. $73,000 is a lot of money. However, if you buy them on the secondary market, they're obviously much, much cheaper than that. Now let's fast forward to today. Most of their watches are now in some sort of material that is not precious. So it's titanium or other materials that they come up with. Seem pretty technical. They seem like they might be expensive, but they are not as expensive as gold or platinum. So the whole point here is that they are inherently worth less. So if you actually took the components, the inherent value of that original 103 versus maybe a 105 or any of the later models that they made that were in titanium or are in titanium currently, gold model is just worth more because it's made out of gold. Its components are more expensive. Today, any of the current models, those models go for around $100,000. So we're now talking about an increase in price and a reduction in the actual inherent value of the watch. Those watches sell on the secondary market for more money than the gold versions of their earlier watches. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The entire watch industry has done a switcheroo. So they are raising prices because of popularity of watches, because of influence, because of all the things that I mentioned before. They are doing a lot of hand work. There's hand finishing. There's a lot of development in these watches, but it's not to the level that they should be charging $100,000 for something that's made out of titanium, in my opinion. Now, like I said, Urwerk is just the example. There are tons of other brands that are doing this, and pricing is out of control. Like I was just talking about Urwerk and how they're using materials like titanium and they're charging more money. And I think on the opposite end, we have micro brands who are starting to use materials like ceramic, titanium, and other really interesting materials, but somehow they are charging less money for their watches. In fact, what they're doing is they're coming out with watches that are made in these materials that are usually reserved for more higher end watches now, and they are coming out with them cheaper and cheaper. In fact, the competition is in the opposite direction when you talk about micro brands. They are competing with each other at that price level. They are trying to get cheaper and offering you more for that money. There are some micro brands that are going up in price, but there are a lot of micro brands that are offering more and more and more and pushing the envelope, giving you better watches, better designs, better finishing, and better materials for less and less money. So how are they able to do it while the other brands, these major brands, these independent brands, are not? Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Why is there such a disparity in collecting these days? And why do you think prices are so absurd right now? When a watch comes out and they just put a price tag on it for $120,000 just because it's made out of titanium and it has a really nice movement that might be hand finished, there may be some really bespoke elements to it. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about what I said in this video? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Again, I love to have conversations with you guys, so please tell me in the comment section if there is something that I missed, or if you think I'm wrong and you think that watch prices are actually pretty good. I mean, I'd like to meet you if you think that watch prices are pretty good, because you're probably very rich. I'd like to talk to you and see how or what you're buying and what you think of the industry in general. It would be very interesting to hear, but there you go. That's what I have to say about this. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.